Listen to that sound. The chap who's making that sound is the cause of one of the biggest controversies in the chicken world, a rooster. Love them or loathe them, or maybe you're just wondering whether you need one. Now that you have chickens, should you have a rooster? Of course, like many questions, the answer is it depends. Let's have a look at it in more detail. First off, let's deal with a very common misconception. No, you do not need a rooster in order to get eggs. The eggs that you buy at the supermarket are never fertile. They are laid by hens who have never seen a rooster in their entire lives, and they lay hundreds of eggs. You absolutely do not need a rooster in order to get eggs. So the question is, should you have a rooster? The answer to that question might have already been answered for you by your local council. Lots of councils and local authorities have rules about how many roosters and hens you're allowed to keep. If you live in a rural environment outside the city, it's likely you'll be allowed to keep a rooster. But if you live in a city, that's less likely.
For example, in all of these New Zealand cities, you are allowed to keep a small number of hens, typically up to 12, right in the city, but not a rooster, or at least not without a permit. In many of these cities you can keep a rooster if you get a permit from the council. And in New Plymouth you can keep a rooster unless the neighbours complain.
So if you're thinking about getting a rooster, check out the laws where you live before you do. The laws and local bylaws are usually intended to ensure that neighbours can live in harmony. Before you get a rooster, it might be an idea to talk to your neighbours. Maybe you'll be lucky like I am, and you find that your neighbours enjoy the sound of a rooster, like enjoying many of the other country sounds around us. But it's a good idea to ask beforehand. The most compelling reason to get a rooster is to breed your own chicks. If you want fertile eggs that can hatch into chicks, you absolutely need a rooster if you're trying to breed a particular characteristic, or if you want to increase your flock in a very economical way, then you need a rooster.
If you don't want to get involved in breeding, but you still want to hatch and raise baby chicks, you can buy fertile eggs from someone else who does the breeding. You don't have the same degree of control over how the chicks turn out, but it's usually more economical for just a few chicks each season than keeping a rooster all year round for just a couple of batches of chicks.
If you keep a rooster all year round, then of course you've got to feed him all year round. And a rooster's not going to lay any eggs for you to repay all that food. A rooster's need for food is not as high as that of a hen, because a rooster is not needing that food to make nourishing, nutritious eggs. He's just using it to live. So it's more economical to feed a rooster than it is to feed hens. Of course, if you use your rooster for breeding, some of those chicks will turn out to be boys. And if you have the heart for it, they can make a very tasty dinner for you. That's a whole other question, raising cockerels for the pot. Personally, I don't like to eat my chickens.
Even if you don't intend to breed from him, having a rooster with your hens can provide them with some protection from predators. He will be with the hens all of the time, watching over them, keeping an eye out for any dangers that threaten the flock, keeping them all together and close to home. and in some cases even tackling and beating off a predator. He'll be at the top of the pecking order and keep the hens in order. Many people believe that there is less squabbling amongst the hens when a rooster is also present, because he maintains law and order in the flock.
On the other hand, a rooster can sometimes be a bit of a nuisance to some hens, chasing after maybe one or two of them relentlessly and never giving them any peace, and sometimes damaging their backs with his spurs. If you have a rooster for breeding, you only need one rooster for about 10 hens. He will easily fertilise that number of hens. So if you have a rooster, make sure you don't have too many roosters for the number of hens that you have. Sometimes it just seems more peaceful with a girls-only policy in the hen house. Roosters have a reputation for being aggressive to people as well as to chickens. He's likely to regard them as his hens and defend his territory against other roosters, predators, and perhaps even from you. Personally, I don't tolerate an aggressive rooster. If there's something in his nature that makes him that way, then I don't want to breed from him and pass that characteristic onto his sons. The aspect of roosters that causes most of the contention is, of course, the crowing.
Not everyone wants to be woken up in the early hours by a rooster welcoming the sunrise. And of course, it's not only at daybreak that roosters crow. They will crow at all times of the day. And just as they have different voices, some louder or quieter, some lower or higher pitched. They also vary in how often they crow throughout the day. Although there are various tricks and devices to try and keep a rooster from crowing, I haven't tried any and I couldn't recommend them. I'm just as happy to enjoy all aspects of these magnificent birds, including their song.
I have some great memories of roosters that I've had over the years. But right now we have a girls-only hen house, and I think the chickens are pretty happy with things that way. They're certainly laying me lots of eggs.